Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Maya's Shakti Dvayam. This Avarana Shakti, veiling power of Maya, hides this distinction between Dṛśya and Dṛk, between the Jiva and the Sakshi. At one level. This is nothing but Satya and Mithya. This text very beautifully brings out the difference. And that difference has been denied to us by Maya, by the veiling power of Maya. Similarly, between the Jagat and Brahman, the same Sakshi. That power makes it difficult or impossible to see Brahman in everything in the Jagat. Satya Mithya again. In the former case, we see only Jiva. We don't see that Sakshi. And because we don't see that Sakshi, the distinction is covered. Whatever attributes of the Jiva, Jivatvam, limitations, get superimposed on Sakshi. This is the Vikshepa. When the truth is covered, something has to be projected. So what we get to see is only that I am Karta Bhokta. Karta Bhokta I am. But I am not Karta Bhokta. That Jiva is Atma is the truth, is Satyam. But I falsely, through the Shakti of Maya, assume Atma is Jiva. Therefore, everything that belongs to the Atma belongs to the Jiva. So everything belongs to Jiva belongs to the Atma. That Kartritvam, which is samsara, Bhoktartvam, Kartritvam, is Vyavaharika. And because we don't recognize Sakshi as I, and superimpose this Kartritvam, Bhoktartvam on the Atma, we have a problem. In the golden chain, we see only the chain. In the pot, we see only the pot. And in the Jagat, we see only the varieties of Jagat. Anything in the Jagat. In the Jiva, we see only the Jiva. And what you see is reality. Because that our projection, pratibhasika, is all I see. I see the snake, that is real. Therefore, all further actions, reactions follow that assumed reality. But because I see this is my pratibhasika projection, that becomes reality. Because I don't see either vyavaharika or paramarthika satyam. Within the realm of our daily experiences, also we make the same mistake. Unless you know the truth, what you project is real. Snake is real. Dream is real. Whatever happens to one in the dream is real. Till when? Till one recognizes that it is a dream. Till one recognizes that the snake is only a projection. When that recognition comes, thank God it is only a dream. Thank God there is no snake. The same way, what is vyavaharika is kartrutvam bhoktrutvam. As long as I see only that, it is real. I am a karta bhokta. Avarana Shakti has made it impossible for me to see Paramarthika Satyam. The distinction between Sakshi and Jiva, and the distinction between Brahman, Atma, and the Jagat. So in the former, we superimpose the Jivatvam on the Sakshi. In the latter, we superimpose the changes, Vikara, on Brahman, which is unchanging. It is not easy. We've seen again and again that is because of Tadatmyam. Swamiji, how do I search for this Brahman in the Jagat? Wrong question. It presumes that I'm going to see it with my eyes or hear with my ears. You don't have to see it. It is self-revealing. How does it become self-revealing? Only through knowledge. Dṛg-dṛśya-viveka. ātmatattva. Only cognitively we can see the difference. I'm not going to be able to recognize it because I'm going to go searching with a magnifying glass for Atma. Not there. Somebody said the other day, everything is Bhagavan. We keep doing what we need to do. And I'm not doing, Bhagavan is doing. He will take care of everything. At the Vyavarika level, yes, it is true. But you are Brahman. Where you're going is Brahman. The going is Brahman. The distance is Brahman. The time taken is Brahman. Where is the question of anybody saying, at the Paramarthika level, Yamarika Bhaimen? This distinction between Pratibhasikam, Vyavaharikam, and Paramarthikam has to be seen. Unless you see there is a Vyavaharika Satyam, whatever is projected by you as a Pratibhasika Satyam is Satyam. Thank you, Maya. And unless you recognize Paramarthika Satyam, whatever you see as Vyavaharika Satyam is Satyam. No thanks, Maya. I want to see Paramarthika Satyam. I know this cannot be it. You could not have to go searching for Brahman. Brahman has to be only known through knowledge. How do you see water in the wave? I see only wave. How do I see the clay in the pot? This avriti, therefore, does not allow us to see the truth. Therefore, we need a pramana. Something which will give us that knowledge. Ma is knowledge. One of the meanings of Ma. And that pramana, not being the 5 pramana that we are so used to, has to be handled by somebody who has already had a vision. How do I see the many? In the many, the one. In all the golden ornaments in the shop, how do I see gold? And having seen that gold, how do I take it to the next step and see Brahman, Atma? Whether it is gold or a copper or platinum, only Brahman. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavihastini. In Brahmana, in a cow, in an elephant. Shunichaiva Papa Kecha. In a dog eater. In everything, I see only one. They look different. The qualities are different, but I'm not looking at the qualities. I'm looking beyond the qualities. I'm looking beyond the shape, beyond the rupa, beyond the name. Such a person, Panditaha, Samadarshina, one who is able to see the oneness in everything. You don't need separate eyes. Like Arjuna got Divya Chakshuhu to see Vishwadarshana Rupam. You only need a pramana which shows you that what you consider Satyam, if it is only at the level of Pratibhasikam, it is very short of the truth. If you raise yourself to the level of saying, Bhagavan will take care of everything, That's true, Vyavaharika Satyam. Only when you recognize in Bhagavan, in everything, that one unchanging, immutable, Akhanda Brahman, only then are we seeing the total truth, absolute truth. This Jagat, everything else is only ephemeral. Nama, Rupam and function. You remove any one of these, the so-called real object disappears. Pot is a name. And we immediately imagine a Rupa, a big belly, a neck, an opening. And you can imagine women going to the river, collecting water, putting that pot on their head, and everything else that goes with it. Krishna breaking their pot. Because the function is to carry water, store water. Suppose you didn't have a name called pot. Suppose you didn't have a word called pot. There's no pot. If you don't have a word called pot, where's the pot? There's no pot. If you didn't have the shape that you imagine, where's the pot? And if that thing cannot store water, is it a pot? It could be a cracked pot or a cracked pot, or the person who is looking for the pot in that will be a cracked pot. Any one of these is missing. That reality disappears. Nama Rupa. To help us understand the nature of the Jagat, which is nothing but Nama Rupa. He says, just put on verse 20. Asti bhati priyam rupam.
Asti bhati priyam rupam.
Nama chetyam shapanchakam.
Nama chetyam shapanchakam.
Adhyatrayam brahma rupam.
Adhyatrayam brahma rupam.
Jagat rupam tatodvayam.
Jagat
rupam tatodvayam.
Asti bhati priyam. Adhyatrayam, the first three. Asti, bhati and priyam. Brahma rupam. Nama chet. Sorry, rupam and nama, the latter two. Chet, all the five. Amshapanchakam. The Jagat that we know is only Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Nama. Adhyatrayam Brahma Rupam. Asti Bhati and Priyam are Brahma. We'll see how. Jagat Rupam Tato Dvayam. Tataha Dvayam Jagat Rupam. What seems to give this Jagat that we think of as variegated Jagat, different forms, different functions, different names, words, each word breaking down to another set of words, each of them breaking into another set of words. There is no substance. Any object in this Jagat is an assemblage, including the body-mind sense complex. And any assemblage is subject to change. Because one part of the assembly or another part of the assembly will stop functioning as it is supposed to function. So we saw, if any one name is missing, any one rupa is missing, any one function is missing, where's the object? So in an assemblage where you have multiple parts, any one function is missing, you could either change that part, make that functional again, or you throw it. Nowadays, more and more, all objects are assembled, and if it stops working as it's supposed to work, discard. We are still in the stage where we are do jugadu. We will try and find a way of somehow making it work. But the world is moving towards use and throw. I know somebody who used to tell me, I used the towel a couple of times. If it becomes dirty, I throw it and buy a new one. Very good. Adhyatrayam Brahma Rupam Asti Bhati Priyam. We've been seeing three words being used for Brahman. They are not descriptive words. Let's be very clear. We are looking for the intended meaning, the lakshyartha. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Sat, Chit, Anandam. Asti, Bhati, Priyam. Yadasti, Tat Sat. Or Satyam. You can take it one step further. Asti is Bhati. Bhati is Priyam. Priyam is Bhati. Priyam is Satyam. Because we're not looking at Vakshartha, word meaning. We're looking at what it represents. If you stop at just looking at the meaning, even if you are analytical, what is Sat? That which does not change with time. Unchanging. Is that the Sat that they're referring to? That which does not change is Sat. You cannot say today is Sat, tomorrow is Sat, day after tomorrow is Sat. What doesn't change is Sat. You are analyzing it mostly in the Jagat. This Sat we know changes, including every law of science. There is no law of science, no fact established by science which remains unchanging. Especially medical science, where they will give you something for take care of some problem. Tomorrow they turn around and say, don't take it. Not good for you. So even at that level, there is a problem. Therefore, the Sat, if you say Pratibhasika Sat, the snake is a Pratibhasika Satyam. It is. For that moment, it is Satyam. But it is not Satyam. It is only Pratibhasika Satyam. What was tried to impose on Nambi Narayanan to the police was Satyam, Pratibhasika Satyam. Thank God somebody woke up and saw that it is only Pratibhasika Satyam. I don't know if you should even call it Satyam. But at that moment, it is Satyam. For that period, it is Satyam. Then that goes Pratibhasika, the covering is gone, and you see this rope. Somebody switches on the light. That what I thought was real snake is not a real snake. It is not real. I see that rope, but then a little bit more insight. That rope is also only Namarupa. It unravels into its constituents, which further unravel into its constituents. Till you see absolute Satyam. That which never changes. But when you want to look at the Paramarthika Satyam, even this definition falls short. That which does not change in the three phases of time, even that falls short. So when we say Satyam with reference to Brahman, what is the Vivaksha? That which is the very hetu for time. Therefore, you cannot say Trikalatita. We have to say Trikalatita. Not contained by the three time frames. That is Satyam. So you have Paramarthika Satyam, Vyavaharika Satyam, and Pratibhasika Satyam. When we are able to recognize the difference, then we can hopefully see Satyam. Asti, Asdhatu, is Sat. Asti iti Sat. Bhati, this is relatively easy to understand. Bhati is Jnanam, is Chit. That which is known, revealed. When you say known, there has to be a knower, a conscious entity, Chaitanyam. All this while in the last 19 verses, we've been struggling to say that there is only one Chaitanya. Everything else is assumed Chaitanya. It's Bhati. self-revealing. Jnanam. Yam jnanam anantam brahma. Satchit anandam brahma. How do I understand this? Knowledge, jnanam, jna is a sakarmaka dhatu. It must have a karma. If you stop a sentence and say he knows, it is hanging in the air. What does he know? There was a novel a long time ago I read. I think they made it a movie also. I know what you did last summer. And almost everybody is guilty. They have done something which you don't know. So if you go and tell anybody on the street, I know what you did last summer, starts panicking. I know what? It must have an object, a karma. I sit does not need a karma. You cannot answer a question saying, sit what? I sit. But if you say, I eat, you have to answer, what do you eat? I cook, what do I cook? Transitive and intransitive verbs in English. Sakarmaka and akarmaka. Sakarmaka, karmena saha, and without karma. Our understanding of jnanam is sakarmaka dhatu, therefore it must have an object, sometimes more than one object. Vikarmaka dhatu. But at least have one karma. But this bhati, jnanam, chaitanyam is the very essence of that. Jna dhatu artha. Without any object. What jnanam, ghata jnanam, pata jnanam, jagat jnanam. In all these, there is a common jna without a karma. Knowledge as such although jnanam is a sakarmaka dhatu, if you can stretch your mind to think of knowledge as such with nothing, no object attached to which any object can be attached. Therefore, ghata jnanam, pata jnanam, etc. That jna means chaitanyam. Only one chaitanyam possible. Chit. Therefore, you use word like chinmaya. Swami Chinmaya also comes from there only. Chit. Only one chaitanyam possible. So our thinking has to go past this idea of an object knowledge. Object in the grammatical sense, not physical object necessarily. That the correct word to use is consciousness. Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is consciousness. That also we have a little challenge, because we use consciousness in normal daily usage to mean that which is sentient. But consciousness here, Chaitanyam, like we saw in the case of Sat, Trikala Atitaha, here also, it is Yapti, the very essence of, the very meaning of Jnanam. Nothing to do with Sakarmaka, Akarmaka. Although we need that for our analysis and vichara. Knowledge just as such, unqualified knowledge. It is consciousness. The confusion comes because what we see as jada vastu in the jagat, including a fellow who's fallen down and become unconscious. And think there is no consciousness. Everything is only consciousness. There is nothing but consciousness. That consciousness is the absolute satyam. There is nothing other than consciousness. Everything else, nama rupa. There is no everything else. But to start with, to try and understand the jagat, we say nama rupa. Dream-like. There is only one Chaitanyam, Nya Dhatu, the meaning of which is same as Satyam, consciousness. And Priyam. Love, anything I like. What are the equivalent words we use? Two very interesting words, Anandam and Anantam. Endless. Anandam and Anantam. And they are all the same. We say they are the same. How? How can Priyam be the same? What about Vastu which is Apriyam? If you say this entire Jagat is Brahma Rupa, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Asti Bhati Priyam, there are so many things in this Jagat which are Apriyam. If not Apriyam, at least Udasina, Udasina. Udasina, indifferent. I am walking along, there's a stone lying on the side of the road. I am indifferent to it. How do you say Priyam? Only that which is Priyam is Brahma Rupam, others are not. Just like we looked at Satyam, we looked at Jnanam, Bhati, and saw that we have to look beyond the word meaning. Sat, at a very superficial level, is what I see immediately. At a little more deeper level, that which is true across times. And at the level of true Satyam, absolute Satyam, Time itself is dependent on Satyam. That which is Chit is Jnanam, Bhati. At the next level of analysis. But in reality, it is Jnādhatvartha, very content of what we call Jnanam. In every Jnanam that is there. What about Priyam? There also we have the same analysis. What is Priyam? It is experiential. I like, I don't like, I'm indifferent to is what? Vyavaharika Satyam. This Jagat, I think bulk of things, one is indifferent to. Udasinya bhavam is there for most things. I don't care. Actually, even a statement like I don't care implies you care. Otherwise, why make the statement? I'm indifferent. I don't even notice. But what is it that we are looking for? The content of the self, Atma, whose very nature is Ananda. That Ananda is Anantam. Trying to understand this, how can Ananda be Anantam? This is the way I looked at it. There are times in life when you suddenly feel absolutely contented. And what are the words we use? I need nothing more. I am so full. Nothing more is required. When you say nothing more is required, means what? Infinite. So there's nothing more you can add. Anandam in the true sense is Anantam. Experiential Anandam is relative Anandam. And that's a continuum. Experiential apriyam, audasinyam, priyam, all mean the same thing. Looked at from the point of view of Anandam. What evokes the pleased self? What you're looking for, the pleased self. No, this does not evoke the pleased self. Even then, what are you looking for? That object is not what we're talking about. We're not even talking about what experience that object creates for you. Whatever that object is, that is only experiential Ananda. I like, I don't like, and I'm indifferent to. There is vritti at that level. There's only a thought. This Ananda is Anantam. When you look at it from the total point of view, absolute point of view, there's only Ananda. So all these three words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, or Sat, Chit, Ananda, or Asti Bhati Priyam, They all mean the same thing. When in many places you will find Satchidananda Swarupoham. I am the very Swarupa of these three words. The Lakshyartha. What you see beyond what is available on the surface, the differences that are available on the surface, the interpretations that are available on the surface. That which is the very content of Ananda, very content of Chaitanyam, very content of Ananda, of Satyam, is I, Brahman. So these three words really coalesce into one. There's only one word. Brahman, I, Atma, whatever word you want to use. Yadasti tad bhati. Yad bhati tad anandam. Yad anandam tad satyam. Asti. Asti bhati priyam. And then it's Asti bhati priyam. Rupam and nama, these five together form the five amsha. Amsha panchakam. These three, adhyatrayam, Brahma Rupam, that they're just one word, Brahman. The Swarupa of Brahman is expressed as Satyam, as Jnanam, and as Anandam. Sat Chit Ananda. Asti Bhati Priyam. This verse is one of the most commonly used verses. Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Nama Chet Amsha Panchakam. Adhyatrayam Brahma Rupam. They constitute our understanding of Brahman. The only Dṛg, Sakshi. And then the further one, Tataha, Jagat Rupam, Tatha Dvayam. Following to only earth. I see so much varieties in this Jagat. If there's only one, how do I see the varieties? Hey, how do you see so many different gold ornaments? Because I see only up to the level of a gold ornament. This is the bangle. Then the woolen trader comes, he doesn't look at the bangle. No, he looks at the bangle, but with the bangle he sees the gold. He says this is 10 grams of gold. At today's cost, it will cost you 50,000 rupees. This perspective. Swami used to say, he went to somebody's house, gold jeweler's house, for bhiksha. And he took him downstairs to the basement to show his collection of golden ornaments. A lot of chains, necklaces, that, this, etc. And he's told Swami G, Swami G, I'd like to give you something. Take any one. So Swami said, very well, give me the gold. Everything is gold. This is the magic of many being one. Although they look different, they sound different, the names are different, the functions are different. But there's only one. Samam Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini. There's only one. Now one can take it to the next step saying, how do I see that oneness? Only through vichara. It's self-revealing. I don't need another pair of eyes, a different buddhi to see this. It is there. It is I. So this Asti is Bhati, Bhati is Asti, Asti is Priyam, Priyam is Bhati. Anything in this Jagat is Asti Bhati Priyam Brahma plus Namarupa. That does not mean Namarupa is a second thing. No second reality. There is no substance. Brahman plus notionally a name called pot. Only a notion. Water plus a form called wave. Water doesn't go anywhere. Water is water. I see it in the form of a wave. Brahman. Now you go back to what I used to say at one time, I don't know, in this class. How did this Jagat come about? You saw Brahman in the form of Akasha. Then you saw Brahman in the form of Akasha, and from there I saw Vayu, the form, the name. Brahman in the form of Akasha and in the form of Vayu. From there I saw Agni, another name. And from that same Brahman, which I saw in the form of Akasha, Vayu and Agni, I see Apaha. In and through there is only Brahman. Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Adhikāritvaṃ Brahma Rupam. There is only Brahman. There is nothing else. And the variety comes from the Jagat Rupam, Jagat variety, Jagat apparent variety comes from the Dvayam, Nama and Rupa. Anything you remove, there's no Nama, there's no substance. There's no Rupa, there's no substance. There is no substance. There's only Brahman. Now he's consolidated what he said by showing that there is only one. Therefore, Samadarshinaha, one who is able to see that oneness, that magic of the million and the zillion being only one. Vedanta magic. Million equal to one. There is only one. Very difficult to sit here and say, what is that one? As long as that Tadatman is there, and I'm not able to see that one, the Sakshi. I'm only seeing what is on the surface. Karta, Bhokta. It's difficult to see that one. But if we can understand that Brahma Rupam is the only reality, everything else is either Pratibhasika reality or at best Vyavaharika reality. Reality created by my subjective projection, imagination. Or Ishvara Shrishtam. That is also Pratibhasika. That's also Vyavaharika. That's also not the absolute truth. Till I can recognize Vyavaharika, I stay with the Pratibhasika. That is true to me. Because that's all I see. That's when people come up and say, I can see only this life. Therefore, Rinam Krutva Ritam Tibet. How does that matter? You don't know what is there. You can't see it. My Pratibhasika Satyam. There's only this one life. Then you go a little deeper, you analyze and ask yourself, why is there so much difference between people born at the same time, same place? Oh, there has to be some logic behind it. Then you wake up to the Vyavaharika Satyam. That is also not satisfying. There also you start wondering what's happening. And with adequate analysis, adequate preparation, adequate adhikāritvaṃ, adequate punya, one start asking questions. Parikshya lokan karmatitan brahmanaha nirvedamaya takatatkatena. Then he goes looking for the answer. Tad vijñānātam gurumeva abhigachet. Gurumeva abhigachet. Say there has to be another level of satyam. These are all only relative satyam, relative jnanam, relative anandam. That there has to be an absolute, without which no relative is possible. Therefore, asti bhati priyam rupam namachet amshapanchakam adhyatrayam brahma rupam jagat rupam tatodvayam. Complete picture painted of Satyam Mithya, of Jagat and of Brahman. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Harihi Om.